What's up, y'all? Got you a pretty different video here coming at you today. As y'all can see in front of us, we got a block of my clear jelly here and got a mold for it. And obviously what we're getting ready to do here is melt it back down. So as y'all know, I've mentioned before this stuff, and if you've looked at it before, this clear gel is right expensive. It ain't the cheapest thing in the world. So, but the good thing about it is you can remelt it down. Now I think they say on the website and in the info that up to 6 times before you start seeing a slight discoloration, and I think they say up to like 10 times before it starts turning pretty tannish colored because of the oils in it. But this one here has actually been melted down twice already, and it's still crystal clear, so I expect we're gonna get a lot out of it. So thought I'd bring this to you because I had a couple of y'all mention you'd like to just see what was going on in the melting process. There's not a whole lot to it. Basically you just need your mold to remelt it. This is 16 by 6 by 6. Now the mold is 7 high instead of 6, so it gives you a little bit of extra, because once you start chopping this up, it gets a little uneven and you need a little extra space. But that's really all there is to it. You need the block, of course you need your mold, and you're going to need an oven to melt this back down. Now you want it at 250 degrees. I just use a standard kitchen oven. Now you can go out and spend extra money and buy a big separate like 110 volt portable roaster oven. They make them big enough for this block, but you're looking at spending another close to 70 bucks or so to get one of those. So I've done it in the oven so far, just a regular kitchen oven. There's no problem. It don't fill your house with a bunch of fumes or anything like that, so there's no worry there. The worst you get is when you open the door and check on it here and there. When you're right up on it, it's kind of got the smell of melted crayons, but it don't fill your house with no fumes or nothing like that, so you ain't got to worry about your wife or your husband fussing at you about filling the house with fumes. So you ain't got to worry about that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to preheat your oven to 250, and I actually like to put the mold in there with it while it's heating to 250 to get the mold nice and heated up, so when I start putting these chunks in, it kind of melts and settles it down. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I got my oven heating up now. I'm going to go ahead and stick this in and let it preheat while we cut this thing up. Alright, I got the pan, the mold stuck in the oven, and it's preheating to 250. Like I say, I just like to put down a little piece of foil, and I put a couple paper plates under there. The only thing that is, it kind of gives it an uneven surface so this block don't stick down to the foil while I'm tumbling and moving it around. Because to be honest, when I first did it, this was the biggest pain in the butt part of it, was chopping this thing up, because it says you can cut it up into small pieces or you can tear it up, and I did some little cuts and started tearing it, and the piece was real jagged and uneven. And trust me, you don't want to do that, because when you start sticking it in that mold, when they're jagged and uneven, you get a lot of hollow spaces, so you get it mounded up over the top of the mold, which is, you seem like it's okay, it'll melt down, but what happens is it starts melting unevenly, and some of it starts wanting to run down the sides of the mold. So you definitely don't want to do that. You want to cut this up into even blocks. And what I've found, the best way to do this is to cut this up into 16 blocks. So what I use is just a regular old smooth kitchen chef's knife. I've tried a few different things, so let me go ahead and save you the trouble and the headache. I've tried serrated knives. I tried even a little small hand saw. You don't want the serrations, because when you start doing that, you're talking about a heck of a mess with this gel. It starts flaking, and you just get little gel pieces everywhere, and it ain't the thing to do. The best way to do this is just take a smooth kitchen knife, go ahead and cut it in half at first. We'll go about right here. Go ahead and mark it. And this stuff is a pain in the butt to cut because it's real sticky. So what I figured out was the best thing to do with this, I'm going to try to keep y'all in frame, is to spread it open as you're cutting. Kind of treat it like you're sawing, you're chainsawing a tree. You want to make sure you don't have any binding on that knife. And you see, when you do it like that, it's pretty easy. Now I'm going to get kind of in the way, but it's going to be hard to do this on camera. But like I say, you see what I'm doing. As I'm slicing, I'm spreading it open. So that makes it way easier. It's actually really easy when you do it like that, when you spread it open. If you don't spread that thing open like that and you try to just brute force it down through there, it's going to be a headache, buddy. I mean a major headache. So got it cut in half. I'm going to cut these 2 blocks in half also. So once I get these, you're going to have 4 pieces there, and then I'll show you what the rest of the ways I cut it from there. Alright, move to the other side here. I think this will be easier to stay out of the way so y'all can see better. But see, like I say, trust me, don't try to get fancy. Don't try to do it any other way. Just do it like I'm doing it if y'all gonna do this. So you see how that split right open like that. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this chunk. Because like I say, if you notice here, if I don't spread it, I mean, it just binds that knife up. It's just like sawing a tree. It binds the chainsaw up. Same thing here. But as you can see, if once I take the pressure off of that knife, it does pretty doggone good. Pretty easy once you keep the pressure off of it. It goes right on through there, no problem at all. This is, trust me, like I say, save yourself the headache and just do it like this. Smooth kitchen knife and spread the blocks if y'all gonna mess with any of this stuff for sure. So now that I got this, I take and flip them over again, and then I cut it again. Like I say, I want to make these into 16 pieces. So same thing, just score it a little bit. Once it gets started, start spreading that block open, and as you can see, it goes right on down in there. Pretty doggone easy after that. I mean, it was a super headache the first time I did this because, like I say, I was trying serrated knives and just all kind of foolishness, trying to figure out easier ways to do it when I just should have kept it simple, just like this. So no problem at all when you do it like this. Once you get it started and you start, just keep it spread open like I'm doing here. Keep the pressure off of the knife and keep it from binding up. It's no problem whatsoever then. Really easy. All right, so now I got it down to 8 pieces. We're gonna cut each one in half one more time. Something else you want to be kind of pay attention to is where your wound channels are from your bullets. You see some of it's got a little dirty, so if you can help it, try to cut it where you see like a little dirty, or especially if you got any fragments, you want to get those out for sure, because whatever's left in there, when you melt it, it's going to settle down to the bottom. And for reasons I'll show you later on, the bottom of the mold I use for the top when I do my testing again, and I'll show you why after it's melted down. But so just keep in mind, any kind of fragments or any kind of trash you leave in it is going to settle down to the bottom. So like I say, this 8 pieces now, I'm going to cut them one more time and I'll show you here. See, I'm kind of cutting right through that track just to make sure I saw a little bit of dirtiness, and that's really just carbon. Some of that you're not going to be able to help, and it's going to start getting speckled, but if you can, grab it out or take you a little rag or something and just clean it up if you want. Just toss those little dirty pieces to the side. The cleaner you can keep this gel when you melt it, obviously the longer you'll be able to use it. So like I say, same thing again. See how easy that cuts right through? When you spread it open and keep the pressure off the knife blade, it cuts it really easy. It's not super important to keep these blocks exactly uniformly the same shape and the same size, but kind of keep it as close as you can to a nice square or rectangle, I guess I should say, and keep them generally the same size. And I'll show you, it just makes it a whole lot easier once you start stacking these into that mold. And I'll show you why here in a minute, but I'm gonna finish cutting these up and then I'll show you the next step. All right, I got us cut up into 16 pieces. So 16 clear blocks here out of that whole one single block. So I'm gonna grab my pan, my preheated mold out of the oven, and I'll show y'all how I stack these things in there. All right, so be careful, obviously, if you do preheat your mold like this, don't burn your doggone self. So now the reason I do this is just start stacking these little squares in there. Push them tight against the corner, okay? So like I say, you got 16 of them, so stick them tight against the corner, as tight as you can get it in the corners and as low as you can get them, because if not, it's going to overflow the top and it ain't going to be a good situation. So just start stacking them in there. And this is exactly why I say you want it to be uniform, because like I say, the first time I just went to ripping and tearing and hacking and just all sorts of shapes and sizes, and it was an absolute mess, y'all. Just take my advice and cut these up uniformly, or close to as uniform as you can. So you're going to have obviously eight in one layer, and then we're going to have 8 on the top layer. So like I say, just smash them on in there. Be careful, don't burn yourself, like I say. And the reason I do preheat my mold is it makes it easier to do this. It melts them and lets you slide them down in there better. So all right, we got one layer of 8, and then we're going to do a second layer of 8. All right, we got 4 of them in there. Get one more here. See, this is getting a little tight on the end. We should be okay though. So this is, like I say, be careful and don't burn yourself. Make sure you got your a pan holder or something. See how that squeezed in there pretty nicely. And then we got one more here. Should be good. And that's, like I say, preheating this mold helps, because if not, it would be sticking. When I'm pushing down on the edge, it would be sticking and not wanting to slide down in there. But since I preheated it, you see I was able to slide it and let it melt the edge and slide that on in there. So So there you go. We got the whole block back in there. The tracks are all staggered, so it'll melt back down uniformly. So we got 16 blocks in there. So now the only thing left now is to go in there and stick it in the oven. I'll show y'all what's up with that. All right, like I say, we're at 255 here, so just pull your tray out a little bit. Make sure it don't burn your doggone self. It's only 250, so a little tap ain't gonna get you, but just don't be getting all up on it. So just slide your oven tray back in there. Kind of center that in there. Slide it on in there. Set it 250. Close your door, and what I usually do is time it. I'll put on a timer for an hour and a half just to keep an eye on it and see what it looks like. So I'll time us for an hour and a half and we'll come back and check on it. All right, y'all, we've been going for an hour and a half, which I can just already tell you, I know for a fact is not long enough from doing these already. The instructions actually call for 4 hours or until all the bubbles are gone, until it's clear inside. So let me show y'all what it looks like so far though. At an hour and a half, I'll show you what's happening inside there. So, but as you can see, it's starting to melt together. You can see down in there kind of about midway where the blocks were separated. But once it's like I say, if I'm used to this by now, and I can just tell you, from my experience, it takes about 4.5 hours for this to be completely clear and all the bubbles to get out of it. So let's stick it back in there, and we'll turn it on for some more time here. I'll do it for another hour and a half, and we'll come back and check it in. I know for a fact though, like I say, it's going to take about 4.5, but we'll do another hour and a half and I'll show y'all what it looks like then. All right, y'all, it's been another hour and a half, so we got 3 hours total in here. Now, like I say, I know for a fact it's not going to be quite done yet. It's going to probably be another hour, but wanted to update y'all and show y'all what it looks like after this 3 hours now. You can see that there's still lines down in the bottom, but another hour and a half and those will definitely be gone. So as you can see, it's turning nice and clear for sure. It's going to be back to its good old self. So no discoloration at all happening. So this will be the third time on this block here. So let me put it back in for another hour and then I'll show y'all the final results of it. All right, y'all, it's been another hour and 20 minutes. So total time right now has been 4 hours and 20 minutes. So should be good now. Let's take a look and see what we got. So basically what you want here is all the bubbles to be gone, especially down from inside the gel. If you got a couple little tiny bubbles floating around on the top, that's okay, because those will end up going away as the drying process. And yeah, this looks absolutely perfect right now. So let me see if I can tilt y'all forward. It's absolutely clear in there now. Not a single bubble inside down in the gel, not a single bubble floating on top, absolutely clear. So what I do now is, at this point, you can actually pull it out if you want and set it up on the counter on top of the stove, wherever you're putting it, somewhere obviously that the heat ain't gonna hurt. And just let it cool down. They tell you to let it cool for at least 12 hours, so it's a long cooling process. But what I've found is, if you leave it inside the oven and just turn it off and let it gradually cool down, either way you do it, you're going to get a little bit of a concave surface on this as it dries. I mean, as it cools down. It's just something that happens. You get a little bit of concave surface. But what I've found is, if you leave it in the oven and basically let it cool down, you don't have to leave it in there for the full 12 hours, but let it cool down enough where you can actually grab these handles by hand, where it's that cooled down, and then take it out. If you leave it in the oven and let it cool down like that, it doesn't get that concave surface quite as much. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slide it back in there and let it cool down for a little while, and then I'll come back after it cools down and show y'all what we got. All right, y'all, it is actually the next day now. We just let it go ahead and cool down overnight. So as y'all can see, it's crystal clear again. No bubbles, no tracks in it, no marks, no nothing. So it's all good to go now. Now's the time to take it out of the mold. And I'll be honest with you, this part can be kind of a pain in the butt, because it gets a suction on there. It's not so much that it's stuck as far as adhesive to the side, because this stuff is pretty non-stick. But it gets a suction on there, man, and you have to get the force of a daggone bull to pull this thing out sometimes. So let me show you the way I do it here. I'm just gonna put a couple another little paper plates down there so it doesn't stick, get any fuzz or nothing like that. One thing I would suggest on this, if y'all don't have a heat gun, you might want to put on some surgical gloves to do this with, just so you don't get your fingerprints and all and smears all over the nice new clear block of gel. I've got a heat gun, so I'll show y'all after we get it out. It takes any kind of fingerprints marks right out when you hit it with a heat gun, so I don't wear any gloves with it. But let me just show you the way I do this here. I don't know how well y'all gonna be able to see. I'm gonna try to get it on camera. First thing I do is just kind of come along the edge and pop the edges away. I don't know how good that comes through on camera, but I'm just popping the edges away a little bit, just so to break that suction on it. Just go all the way around, and you'll, like I say, you'll see it separate from the inside of the mold there. So got it broken away there. Now basically all you can do here is just, like I say, kind of brute force it. So easiest to lay it up on the edge like this. So pull it away from the top part like that. Just alternate, just work in there deep as you can get in there, pull it, and actually just put some force down and start pulling it out, and you can see it's coming out. This stuff, it don't rip on you, nothing like that. Like I say, I am marking it up, you'll see, as far as smudging it, but that can be taken out easily with the heat gun. So I try not to get on the sides too much, just so I don't have that much smear. So I got a good hold of it now, and boom, there it comes. So you see I got it out now, and just work it on out the rest of the way. Plop it over here on your plates. As you'll notice, like I say, you may not can notice on here actually, but it's got some little smear marks on it, and especially on the edge here, on the edge where I was grabbing it, it's a little bit foggy, but I'll show y'all easily. I don't know how well that's going to come through on the camera, especially being clear, but it comes out super easy with a heat gun, so I'll show you here. Alright, so especially on the end here, this is where I was grabbing it to pull it out of the mold there. I think you might can see the little smear marks where my fingers was grabbing. But just take your heat gun, and in just a few seconds you can probably see it disappearing on the camera already. Those smear marks come right out of it. Got a little nick on it right there, but that's fine. And this makes it even clearer once you throw that little bit of heat to it and get those little smeared marks out of it. So boom, completely gone there now. And I'll take and do the same thing through the whole thing, and then let it dry a little bit more. I won't bore y'all with this whole heat gun process, but this is something you'll want to do. You'll want to have a heat gun ready wherever you're going to shoot it. See, I put this in a bag, and I'll show you here in a little bit. I put this back in a plastic bag and put it in the box to carry it back and forth to my range. So once you do that, once you put this in that plastic bag, it's going to get wrinkles from that bag. I don't care how nice and new that bag is or wrinkle free, you're inevitably going to end up with some wrinkles in the gel. So you're definitely going to want to have the heat gun with you wherever you're at, and you're going to shoot it. You want to hit it with that heat gun right before you actually use this gel, to get it the clear as possible. Now don't get me wrong, right now it's plenty clear enough to do your testing, but the more you do this and the clearer you get it, obviously the nicer results you're going to have, and the nicer you'll be able to see. But I don't know how well that's coming through, but that's super crystal clear. The cloudiness y'all see in the back is just the stuff on the back side of it. So that's crystal clear right now. I'll get this other side, and then I'll let it dry, or let it cool off for just a second before I put it in the bag, and I'll show y'all. But there you go. That's mark free, no fingerprints, no smears. It's ready to go, man. And I don't know how well that came through on the camera versus before I hit it with the heat gun, but it's crystal clear right now. Like I say, what you're seeing now is stuff behind it, as you can see. I'll show you the other block, and we'll do a before and after. Alright, so as you can see here, there's a nice clear block we just finished heating up and everything, got remolded, and this is another block I've still got to do. And y'all can see I had this one in a plastic bag inside the box on the way back from the range. It's been sitting in there, and you see all these wrinkles. And now that's what's going to be, that's what this one's going to look like once I get to the range. So I have to take and hit it with the heat gun, but I won't do this whole thing because I've got to remold it. But maybe I'll do half of it over here and show you just the difference in it. I'm not going to sit here and take up all y'all's time heating it, but I think you can probably get an idea on the camera what little bit I've done. I do a little on the top here, but yeah, this is what I do once I get it out to the range. Now it's not wrinkled quite this bad once I get there, so it don't take quite this long, but it'll get it nice and clear. But you can see the difference, I think, already just from this little bit. It's getting much clearer. The heat gun is definitely the key to get the wrinkles out and get it really nice and clear so you can see the test really well. So, but you see there, I hadn't hit this side over here, and I haven't started heating on this side, and it's super clear, much clearer. So I'll have to do that one. But there you go, y'all. Only other thing I do is just put it back in the box here. I put it in a bag, just a regular old plastic bag that it came with first. There y'all go. It wasn't the most exciting video, I know, but like I said, I've had a few of y'all ask about it, so I wanted to bring you a little video and show you what the deal was. So we're gonna get out here probably, this is Sunday, I'm gonna probably get out Tuesday to the range again and start using these again and get some more tests done with them. So y'all definitely stay tuned for that. But if y'all enjoy checking out the little video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed. As always, stay tuned because I got plenty more stuff coming. Appreciate all y'all watching the channel and subscribing. I really do appreciate that, y'all. So check out my Amazon affiliate link down in the description. Do your shopping through there. Don't cost you anything extra, and we get a little kickback on the channel from it, so I greatly appreciate that also. But in the meantime, y'all stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.